I love Gus Malzahn. I really do. College football doesn't feel the same without him in the national spotlight. When he's the head man, you can always count on him to give you a laugh that makes you feel so much better about your own team's shortcomings. You think that he's finally got it together and that he's got a team that can win it all and prevent self-mutilation. But then you watch as he exacerbates just how much of a lolcow he and the teams that surround him are. His entire time coaching up until now can be categorized by two words: read option. He didn't create the gun, but he definitely made the Uzi, because he spammed that move like it was a Pokemon game. Whether or not it was successful, the humor you get from watching teams either shut it down completely or become completely inept on defense was pure entertainment for the fans. However, some of these fans were directly impacted by his tenure, as he coached for their team with misdirection play calling where nobody knew who was getting the ball. It was a masterclass of insanity. To get you to really understand where I'm coming from, it's time to take a blast to the past where many different fan bases get to feel spectacular glory and nerve-pulling agony. Let us witness the beat boop in real time.
From humble beginnings.
Long ago, Gus Malzahn was the coach of a school in some random location in Arkansas with a population of 4 people and 13,000 cows. However, this all changed in 2006, when his alma mater, the Arkansas self-destructing Razorbacks, started a history of tomfoolery by bringing him on as an assistant offensive coordinator under everyone's favorite Houston Finna. He coached many of the Piggies' historical figures, such as Darren McFadden and Peyton Hillis. Arkansas football remembers these players so greatly because their time in the spotlight is just like a new Call of Duty game. Great in one moment and then a fart in the wind. Just like his time there, because it turns out he and Houston Nutt couldn't see eye to eye. This led the Gus Bus over to Tulsa as a coordinator, where his true potential was unsealed. He created a true unstoppable force on offense, even if it wound up resulting in a ceiling of 2 GMAC Bowl trophies. Nonetheless, he held the top offense in the country for both seasons of his time there, which led him into the opportunity to return to the SEC to the plains of bullshit. Tommy Tuberville had just got canned and Gene Chizik was brought on with a plan in mind, starting with hiring Malzahn to control the offense. This eventually resulted in Auburn's peak of history with what can only be described as Cam Newton and friends. With the assistance of the Gus Bus, Newton went on to win the Heisman Trophy and claim Auburn's first national title since Lee Corso was in college. That's a long time ago in case you didn't realize. Now that Malzahn has placed himself on the map, his coaching career became just like his offense. You had no idea where he was going next. He did, though. Left to dry after the departure of Hugh Freeze, Arkansas State was in desperate need of a new man. Desperate to rise in his coaching career, the Gus Bus drove a few miles to the west for the job position. Can we talk about real quick how these guys keep getting coaches at some point in their careers? Freeze, Malzahn, and then Butch Jones? They're a red flag for coaching malpractice at this point. Well, this wasn't the case now. It would resurface soon enough. As for Malzahn's time there, he drove the Red Wolves to a Sun Belt trophy off the bat, ensuring a strong and long contract with them, and it's over. Now for the moment you've all been waiting for. Gene Chizik was left to fend for himself after your departure, and it was like replacing Max Verstappen as your driving instructor with SpongeBob. Only one way that could go.
You need to leave!
With a swift kick to the balls. This left Auburn's administration to a simple coaching search with one bus on their mind: Gus. Parked back in the plains, the spirit of the drunken halfway dead Auburn fans was back in full force. Being like the 6th best program in the SEC or something, they knew that with Malzahn's starbuster level offense, they would be right back to the promised land in no time. But just in case, better go ahead and do that thing again. Well, not necessarily the ideal way to go about it, but let's see if it pans out.
3-man rush.
Let's it go.
Despite your satanic ritual, I'm convinced to this very day that this is less of a miracle at Jordan-Hare and more of a heart-wrenching curse of the Georgia Bulldogs. They would not be allowed to be happy for at least another 40 years. Too bad you exalted all your fairy dust on that one. The inbreds are midway through another season of talent suction and there's only so much fairy dust left for everyone else. And you still gotta play them. Your bullshit well has dried out, so something like a 100-yard kick return walk-off touchdown seems very unlikely at best. Now be quiet, everyone. Here's my favorite part.
Get it up.
On the way. No, returned by Chris Davis. Davis goes left. Davis gets a block. Davis has another block. Chris Davis. No flags. Touchdown.
The Father, the Son, and the Chris Davis. Exactly as foretold. The only reason it's so great to relive this is because it features Alabama and the Saban dynasty getting cucked in the worst way possible. Plus one of the most recognizable quotes in sports commentary.
Auburn's gonna win the football game! Auburn's gonna win the football game! He ran the missed field goal back!
Just because you don't hear it much nowadays doesn't mean it's not an icon in history. Speaking of which, welcome to the BCS National Championship. The last one to ever exist until they bring it back because the committee offended another fan base. Oh, looky there, how convenient to show FSU at this moment in time. Usually somewhere here there's another miracle that Auburn can pull out of their ass. But luck can only get you so far, especially in California. Goodbye.
Here comes the lateral. Hook and ladder. Give it back, throw it across the field, and let's see if Mason can take it down the sideline. Cuts to the middle. Florida State rules the BCS.
Just as he did to the grocery store crab legs, Jameis Winston stole your hearts. Jimbo Fisher gets his statement season and the Gus Bus isn't far behind. I'm sure both of these coaches will have many upcoming years of prime success and never fall short of expectation to the point that they get left behind in the sports world. Based on what we know now, I'd say getting left behind in irrelevancy would have been a much better outcome than what actually happened. This is usually where we go through year by year and see where the Gus Bus landed in terms of record and expectations. But let's be honest, Auburn fans know better than anyone that every season from this point onward is a repeat offense to the last. An endless cycle of shortcomings and failures that put James Franklin to shame. Unlike Franklin though, you're not even in the cuck chair anymore. You're having to watch from the square window outside. As innovative as Malzahn's offense is, his philosophy consists of leaving the defense to someone else's control. Let's pivot to which dipshits he threw to that hell zone. And yes, it's that Ellis Johnson. The one whose job at Southern Miss got the football program's name temporarily changed to vacant lot. His defense for Auburn was just as vacant the moment Carl Lawson tore his ACL in 2014. With the inability to tackle, block, or avoid getting arrested, looking at you, Jonathan Mincy, Auburn's mid-tier defense became their weekly reasoning for a loss. Guys like Blake Sims, Nick Chubb, and everyone on Texas A&M's roster feasted on the secondary like a Waffle House buffet. This inevitably led to the Big Barner collapse at the end of the year where they gave up at least 30 points in 6 of their last 7 games. Johnson will be remembered for his role in the kick 6, but he contributed just as much to that as the hobo hiding in the bushes on the sideline. Just another coaching stint from a guy named Johnson. At least this one wasn't the ambassador of a fake school. Nonetheless, following his departure, Gus made his next big move with the defensive coordinator hire of... I mean, it can't be that bad, right? To be fair, Muschamp wasn't the only problem. Jeremy Johnson, the guy Gus got who everyone thought was going to be a dark horse for the Heisman, wound up being a dark horse for a job at Wendy's. It was so bad the only saving grace would be the defense if they could step up. But instead, they dived headfirst into the concrete. The bend but don't break philosophy where they bended and broke was just how it went down. Carl Lawson came back at least for a game until he got injured again. If any offense got into the red zone, they were all better off playing Ring Around the Rosie instead of football. It was proof that hype alone isn't carrying you in any of your games. Thankfully though, South Carolina was so impressed by your performance that they went ahead and took Muschamp from you. How kind of them to do that and ensure half a decade of incompetent football on their part. Give him a hand for that one. Whoop-de-whoop-de-doo. Speaking of incompetent football though, here's your next guy. Wait a minute. Finally, a great hire! He may be a horrifically bad head coach with a 9-37 overall record, but when he's on the defense-only side, he's a force to be reckoned with. The problem now is that with the Gus Bus parked at Auburn for as long as he's been there, the defenses of the Southeast have begun to adapt to his misdirection. You'd have to follow suit or get left behind trying going into 2016. How'd it work out, you asked? I think you already know the answer. You're just too afraid to admit it. Auburn football, am I right? Here's an idea. Let's adjust entirely to a run offense and refuse to throw the ball in any given situation. That can't possibly fail. It failed. And then it failed again. Alright, well since running didn't work, let's try a pass-only offense where we let the new guy, Jared Stitt ham and cheese sandwich, go nuts and hope for the best. It succeeded to perfection, and right when Georgia and Kirby Smart figured out how to utilize talent. Thank goodness we play teams only once per season and never again at any point through the year.
He'll get the carry. DeAndre Swift, and he's fast, and he's maybe gone. DeAndre Swift, touchdown.
You thought that was bad? Watch this shit right here.
Now the clock winds. Good rush. Stidham under pressure. Throws it. Intercepted.
You know what? This may have begun the UCF fake natty campaign that made them one of the most unlikable fan bases in the group of 5, but Gus was playing chess, not checkers. You'll see what I mean in due time. Okay, so run offense didn't work, pass only offense didn't work either. So there's only one last alternative to do now. Let's do nothing at all!
Stidham, no time to throw, and he'll be dropped. Lost the football. It's on the turf. Still on the turf, scooped up by Tennessee. Touchdown, Volunteers!
Just a friendly reminder that it's been 2 years since this team won an SEC game. It was probably the greatest win of Jeremy Pruitt's career too. The rest of the year was similar in execution. It got so bad towards the end that Gus got tired of letting the coordinators do the work and took executive control of the entire playbook. That would be like adding Jar Jar Binks into Fortnite. Nobody asked for it or wanted it, but it's hilarious all the same. Oh wait, we're already here? Okay, hold on, let me get my narrator voice back. This is the year. Bo Nix has improved so much under this new offense. He's focused, he's having fun. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a dark horse for the Heisman. Wait a minute. This is too early. You know what? That's it. Time for your punishment. Here's your schedule for 2019.
Holy shit!
Yeah, you can just sort of tell how that went.
He will, and he's going to score. Touchdown, LSU.
To be honest, you probably helped them win the Natty by making them clench their ass cheeks, so that's your lone contribution since the kick 6. The trend was becoming obvious. Auburn's continued failures from the Gus Bus had made them resistant to good football. If Gus took over the phonics class for kindergartners, something tells me that would go bad too. The lone ideology that remains true at this season is that the COVID year allowed nobody to be happy. But for some, it definitely still matters, and Auburn is certainly no exception. The run for Gus was a glorious spectacle with the barn, but all good things must come to an end. The bus is out of gas, and with no backup tanks for good defensive coordinators left to fill it up, the inevitable was all that remained. To the junkyard! The SEC office tried handing you a layup with the switching of the Georgia and LSU game times, but that can't do much when you can beat neither. Gus's future, while bleak, wound up being way better than what Auburn was presented with in the future. They had already given you an extension 3 years prior, so more money out of their pockets, and they'd have to do 2 at the same time following an episode of coaching malpractice and clownery on a level only before seen in the circus or the Florida State Athletics Department. That's a whole different level that would deviate from our focus today, for the Gus Bus isn't to be crushed just yet. Another destination lies ahead in Orlando. That chess move I was talking about earlier has now come full circle. Welcome to the world of Central Florida, Gus. You have some momentum to work with as UCF has been a successful program at the Group of 5 level. You should know that all too well since you contributed to that. Let's just see how well you can continue their run of success, if at all. Well, it's not like they were terrible. We aren't doing a video on Brian Harsin after all, but there was a clear dip in quality where UCF was years prior. Whether this was to be blamed on a lack of talent in the Group of 5 or a continuous episode of failure to adjust, being stuck in the 9-win range was still far more than what most could come close to. For an Auburn fan, they would have taken to Toomer's corner with pitchforks by now, but with UCF's fan base, they can settle for being a successful program that might have all the stars align at some point. Life is great currently. Which is why it can't stay like this. Just when you got comfortable with your new life, welcome to the Big 12. Currently in transitioning state because the SEC's greed knows no bounds. Better bring on that it factor, Gus. You're gonna need it.
I would love a shot here. Little option with Reese. And Richard Reese to the edge. He's right. Then he comes back, drives the ball right over to the center. And a touchdown in that fourth quarter. Play action. Back in the end zone. It's ball. Slow down. Oh, Harvey fumbled the snap. Look at this. This is going to be huge. Can it change Little dump off to Baldwin. And Baldwin still on his feet. Baldwin, he's got a chance. Wonder for it's not going to make it. What a win for Baylor. The ball. Little option. Giddens. Touchdown. 40 yards on the ground. And then some. A lot more. Devin Neal.
McClain looks, throws, and it is incomplete. He was looking for Holler. And
Jefferson on the keep, and he lost the football. It ends up with Silman Craig, and he's off to the races. Cam Silman Craig trying to leg out a touchdown.
Away, a procedure penalty out of it.
passing
Might as well be in different leagues, not conferences, different leagues.
Undefeated BYU, Retzloff down the sideline.
Is this really as good as it gets? Because it's still not good enough.
Malzahn. Fake the handoff. Throw down the middle, intercepted. As easy as they come.
Atari looking end zone. Did he hang on? Yes, he did. Touchdown. Atari rolling to the right, shovel pass underneath to Bruno.
It is. Teams are just so different year to year.
Intercepted, and there's the finishing touch. High stepped into the end zone.
One of the talking points about Gus Malzahn that I've yet to touch on is the fact that the media has a continuous obsession with referring to him as a quarterback guru. He's such a quarterback guru that you've watched this entire video and probably still don't remember the name of a single one of the quarterbacks he's coached for. And like the quarterbacks he's coached for,
That's it, I'm out of here.
he fades away to the shadow realm of his own volition. His entire career to this point is like making a Spotify playlist with Weezer songs only. Like, yeah, sure, it's a joy for the first few times, and then it's old and stale. So much so that he's seen Hunter Renfrow in high school. The so-called it factor has been lacking so much it's now turned into a was factor. Getting excited for a Gus Bus offense is like throwing popcorn like a football because someone said chicken jockey. All you've done is make someone's day worse. Luckily, we've both come to the same consensus that it's time to do like Kentucky fans wish they could in March and enter the time machine. You've got to go back to the days of offense and offense only. The Gus Bus has downgraded back to the offensive coordinator at...
You what?
Wait, there? Of all places you could go, why there? Being the clowns of the 2024 season, the only benefit you have joining them is that the well of expectations is as big as today's Marvel fan base. As long as they do better than 2-10, nobody would bat an eye. But right now, his stock in college football is crashing to where if he keeps it up any further, he'll turn into Steve Spurrier and spend the rest of his days on a golf course in Atlanta. You'd probably like that, wouldn't you? Regardless of whatever his future at Florida State brings, one consensus can be reached by us all.
In conclusion, this is a Waffle House night.
I can't break you.